Like teachers, leaders in the church should strive to edify those whom they lead. Having served here in the heart of Zion, as well as having lived and traveled abroad, I have witnessed different teaching and leadership styles. Elder Richard G. Scott articulated these styles for me as follows: the general or commander, the egalitarian or three commanders, the phantom, meaning the self-reliant, the decision maker, or the Lord's leader. I recognize that there are elements of stereotyping in the following descriptions, but there is much to be learned. I'll describe each now, and with a visual you can see on the screen. The general or commander. Here, the presiding officer, such as a bishop or a branch president, either implicitly or explicitly communicates that he presides. Like a military officer, he gives orders to his subordinates, and each one dutifully obeys. Next, the egalitarian or three commanders. In this case, the presiding officer divides the responsibilities so that each has a third of what is to be accomplished, each clearly understanding the lines and limits for which he is responsible and therefore working to accomplish them. Third, the phantom. A good description for this leader is he does not delegate. He has two worthy, able counselors, but does not know how to use them, or does not have confidence in them and does most things himself. Fourth, the decision maker. This model has two counselors or advisors and one decision maker. It is based on the Old Testament account where Moses, as the presiding officer, sat in judgment over all cases, being the decision maker. I believe that the decision-making leader is more common than the first three mentioned. For example, a very good bishop may ask each counselor to suggest a name to fill a calling in the ward. They discuss it openly, and then he announces either verbally or by his actions, "Thank you for your good counsel, and as I hold the keys, I will now make the decision and ask you to sustain me in it." Now, fifth, the Lord's leader. This presiding officer understands and implements the principles of the theme of this Education Week. He understands the source of his authority and what it is to be an appointed teacher, that order and reverence must prevail in the council meeting, that sayings or divine doctrines and truths will govern all decisions, that listening to each other and to the whisperings of the Spirit of inspiration is fundamental to revelation, that respectful participation by all will lead to our theme today, that all may be edified of all. To summarize the role of the appointed teacher in our Education Week theme, I quote from cherished notes in my personal files from a talk given by Elder Spencer W. Kimball to missionaries that I heard as a young missionary 50 years ago. "Brother Harold B. Lee," says President Kimball, "is my senior, and I am Brother Mark E. Peterson Sr. When we go to work together, he never says, 'You do this, and you can't do this.' Brother Lee always says, 'Now, Brother Kimball, what do you think about this? Shall we proceed along this line? Shall we go here? And what shall we do there?' Always. He never tells me what I must do. When Brother Peterson and I go, I try to do the same. 'Brother Peterson, shall we move in this direction? And what shall we do? How do you feel about this?' It works out perfectly," says Elder Kimball, "and everyone is happy. But there is the senior element. When one of us is senior, someone has to take the responsibility. Someone has to lead out, and that is all that it is. Sometimes I use stick men to show what I mean. I've seen places in missions where the senior companion is the big stick man, about 6 feet tall, and the little junior companion is way down here. That is not how it should be. We should have stick men the same size. The one has a little more training, and he has been out in the field a little longer, but that does not give him any dictatorial rights. They are both the same size. The one leads out in suggesting," close quote. The phrase, "one leads out in suggesting," has become central to my life and ministry as a husband, father, grandfather, teacher, and church leader. Everything we have been saying about leadership in church councils, meetings, and classroom applies equally to marriage and the home and the family. We see in marriages the following, and again, visuals. Here is a husband who is the general or the commander, giving orders to his wife he views as his subordinate, and she dutifully obeys him. The next, a husband and wife who see their marriage as 50-50 arrangement, having equally divided their responsibilities. Third, a husband who seeks to manage things himself. Fourth, a husband who sees himself as the decision maker, always seeking input from his wife on important decisions, and then exercising his authority to decide and asking her to support him. And then finally, a united couple, a husband who understands his role from the example of the Savior, and temple covenants, who leads out in suggesting, not demanding, not commanding, and not insisting. He understands this humorous anecdote about listening. The Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we may hear twice as much as we say.